not even allowed to put down his suitcase. We're doing a podcast.
Yep, straight to here.
Yeah, dude.
The airport. Let's go. Wouldn't have it any other way.
So you're going to be on tour. It's not your first time doing stand-up. You've been...
Yeah, I mean, I don't really call it stand-up. So I just tell stories about Jackass and stuff. I don't like that. Nobody loves you. Nobody loves you. Oh God, look at you. Give me that shit. Herb a bitch. Get gone. Hey.
Or don't, I don't care.
Look at this thing, eh? You got your own podcast thing going on here. Maybe I should put a shirt on so I don't look so small next to you.
Fantastic.
No, you look fantastic.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm
We
ready.
both in the shot there, Liam?
You could probably have it down a bit more, you know.
Well, then, go on now.
Come on. Come on, then.
Yeah, that's all better.
That's better?
A
Yeah.
little bit on an angle, but you can always edit.
That's fine.
You know, but you can end the stuff a bit more.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, oh yeah. Right.
All right, Joel. So I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Oh.
One of my good friends now on the tour here, Jesse Bieber. Say hello to the people there, my friend.
Hello, people of the world of Tycho. Is
we'll
it
ta-
Tycho world?
Yeah, we'll take that.
We'll take Tycho?
We'll take that now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
don't
love
worry about it.
Tycho. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Fantastic. And I will say that right off the jump, your energy is always there.
It's something.
It's up there.
It's-
Well, it's something, all right. It's definitely something, Bieber.
Some say it can be annoying. Some
Who said
say-
that?
Well,
Who said that? Rex, probably. Yeah,
Definitely
that's definitely a Rex comment. Yeah. Are you doing your wrestling?
Yeah, you should do wrestling thing.
No, you keep going. We're fine. We'll talk over you.
You're a background noise.
Yeah, that is a Rex thing. He's always grumpy, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not.
He was pretty chipper though for our interview.
Was he chipper?
He was. I think
I-
it was different and weird. Something bad was going to happen.
It's almost like you're not used to it.
I wasn't.
Yeah, you
wasn't.
got a whole different
No,
vibe of
I
Rex.
did.
That's what
I was
happened.
like, who is this guy? Who are you? Who are you? But how are you, bud? How's tour been? What's going on?
Great, I would say. Everyone's been doing fantastic, which
Yeah.
has been awesome. Yourself has been great, I gotta say. You know,
Well, I'll
we've
take
had
a
our
compliment.
bonding
I'll
as well.
take that compliment, big guy. Thank you.
No problem.
No, and I will say to do that too. Like I'm not the rookie now. This is my first winter tour, second
winter
tour. So I'm going to just, I don't think I'm the rookie now. Am I? technically?
No, not really, because I think we have
It's Duncan
Duncan.
now,
So Duncan
so
would be
I'm
our. Yeah, Duncan would be our
Yeah,
rookie.
yeah, we're talking about you.
That guy over there.
But I will say to you, you've always helped me out in taking time out of your busy schedule, even after matches and stuff, and just kind of critiquing and stuff like that. So I just want to say thank you because I know
100%.
that I can tell, not only just from that, but just in talking to you and getting to know you as well, that this business means a lot to you and your family. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
So how many winter tours have you done yourself now?
So I started when I was 14 with Ernie Todd.
Oh, smoke! And
Yeah.
if you can, how old are you now?
I'm 31.
Holy smokes!
31. Yeah. So what is that? 16 years?
Don't make me do math on it.
Yeah. I actually think it's 17. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna round up.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
round up anyway.
We'll
just
round
like
up.
my height. I'm
Yeah.
6'2".
You were 6'2"?
Yeah.
You were 6'7", I would say.
Thank you.
In love.
200, 275 pounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of just solid awesomeness.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. You always butter me up, make me smile. Look at this. This is a real smile.
Yeah, I'm trying
Real
to get him
smile.
to blush. That's the goal by the end of this thing. You're going to be blushing all over camera.
So what do we say? 14 years?
I would
No.
say, no, it'd be around 17.
17
Yeah,
years.
because if you do 14, right, that's 28. And then you got another 2. That puts us at 30. That's 16, 17,
Wow.
and 31.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so
Wow.
what got you? I think I know the answer, but I'll let you kind of explain it. What got you into the business?
Well, mine was obviously my dad. So I'm a second-generation wrestler. So
Look
for
at
those of you that
this.
don't know, Chris Thorne is my father. And yeah, I've started with him. And crazy thing is, when I was 14, though, I started as a referee.
Really?
I was a referee first. Yeah.
I see. I'm learning. I
You
didn't even
that?
know. I did
Oh,
not.
I swear, I thought I said it. Maybe not. That's crazy.
No. Well, here, save it for the interwebs.
Let's get the interwebs. There we go.
So you started off as a ref. Now, was it your father pushing you into, hey, this is what I'm doing, I kind of want you to follow in, or was it something that you just kind of saw Pops doing? Hey, how do I get in this, or how did that all?
Believe it or not, when I was actually even younger, because when my dad started, it was 99, so 1999. I was born 93, so I always watched my dad leave to go on the road around like 2000, 2001. And I remember the whole thing was, I want to go on the road with my dad.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's right. So I'm like, I'm obviously way too young. I couldn't be a referee at like 8 years old. That's ridiculous. So the whole thing was, I always wanted to go with dad. I was a daddy's boy, and that was kind of the thing. And then eventually, a ref pulled out of the tour when I was 14 years old. And
Tag me in, coach.
it was basically
Put me in,
coach. And yeah, it was honestly the crazy part was as soon as I heard that it was time to bring a referee, I had 2 weeks to learn how to ref.
Oh, so you this was completely off the cuff.
Brand new to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
my Lord.
So it was my dad threw me in the ring. We started doing matches during classes, and then I was the ref, so I would get thrown into
Some reps in there. Right?
exactly just to kind of get the jive of it, and then we went and did the road, and then Ernie pulled me in.
So you did a tour as a ref, a whole tour as a ref?
Right away. I went on to that. I think it was like a 2-week tour that we did. It wasn't too long, but it was. I was learning the business real fast in that 2 weeks.
I can imagine getting thrown right into it there. Right? What were your nerves like? Especially being at that age too. I guess everyone was kind of like a lot older than you. And
yeah, like I think the big thing was like I was really nervous because it was a lot of the vets that I met back then, right? So like as a 14-year-old kid, even though like I felt protected by my dad, I think because when he went on the road, he was like Ernie's enforcer, his right hand man.
Right,
so anything that he did, it was like he was the second guy down from Ernie. So it always kind of felt like I was protected, but as I'm sure this interview is going to go on, I'm going to start letting everybody know it was the complete opposite.
Not the case.
I was not protected. If anything, I got shot on more than anybody else did on the tour.
I could see that too, and especially now getting to know you myself, like I could see you being the person like I don't want anything for free. I want to earn this. I want to be my own man. And I think you said Dad kind of set the way in terms of showing you what we can do here, but like I have to, as a man, pave my own way, right?
That's right.
And I think a lot of that does get lost in translation because I'm sure there's people looking at this and be like, "Oh, your dad did all this." And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like you may have opened a door, but you still got to put your foot through it and kind of still walk through,
That's
it,
right.
And put all that roadwork. Because again, I was talking about it was either Liam or Rex we were talking about. Like a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes stuff. They just see what goes on. Oh, the ring's already set up. We go wrestle the match and it's done and everything's hip and stuff, right? But they don't see like the training outside of the gym, the nutrition, and all of the other things that you got to do, right?
Yeah.
So can you speak a little bit about what it's like, what you have to do for yourself in order to get ready for these long tours and matches and things like that?
So back in the day, a lot of it was just mostly trying to make sure that I didn't look like an idiot in the ring.
Yep. Don't we all? That's
exactly.
my main goal too. Just
it's
don't look
literally
stupid.
the biggest goal is just to not look stupid and just make sure that you're coming out here with an open mind and being prepared to learn. And that's kind of the big idea. And I feel like if you don't have that and you're very closed mind and you're not willing to learn, unfortunately, this business, actually, and to be honest, it's anything really.
It is. Yep.
So, but with this, you just won't make it very far.
Yep.
You might get a little cool things where it's like you may have that one thing that pushes you because maybe you do something different that somebody likes about you. But if you're not willing to learn, post, or push yourself and actually do things where it's like you're going to benefit the business or benefit yourself, then unfortunately your run's going to be very short.
Yep.
So for me now, when I do prep for these tours, it's a lot more on me now because when we come out here, I help them with the booking of the people. So like who's
see, I didn't even know that either.
Yeah.
So I'm learning too.
Yeah,
So we're all learning together, guys.
That's right. So it's like a lot of the times when it's like who's going to come on the road with us, and we like sit down and we go over the pros and cons of people, and a lot of times it's who's going to benefit in certain areas, and a lot of times they could be the greatest wrestler in the world, but there's things that they just don't do that we need because
What would be something like that if you can kind of get into that? Like, what is something you guys look for as business owners and having, essentially, we are your employees right now, right?
Yeah, of course.
So what is it you guys look for mainly? Like, obviously, skill in the ring, sure. But that aside, what are some of the other qualities or traits you guys look for in workers or just humans, I guess, even too, right? Because we're here for 2 months.
Yes.
I had to see you every day on day. Right? So if we don't get, not to say we don't get along, but if we all don't get along per se, this makes for, and I'm sure you've had a few people, I'm sure, and I've heard some stories, so I'm not going to go too far, but I know there's probably been a few times you're just like, why did I do this? So what are a couple things that you guys look for in terms of an employee or just a personality traits that you guys would look for?
So you're showing one right now, which is it's honestly just how you are as a person. So the big thing is we need to know that we can like you, and we need to know if you're a good, genuine human being inside and out. So when you come out, for me right away, it's like we built this friendship now.
Yep.
So it's
Yes,
like
we did.
to
And
me,
this is authentic too. This isn't just because there's a camera.
No,
This is-
100%.
This is cool. Too,
100%.
right?
So like for me to let everybody know in the camera world and for yourself, to me, I consider you a good friend and I consider you
Well,
a great
thank you,
person.
Jesse. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
my
Thank
brother.
you.
Thank you.
So I find you have to have good traits with people. You have to be able to get along with people. You have to be able to let things roll off your shoulders because sometimes we get on the road and a lot of times like, and I'm going to say this, I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone that's ever been on the tours or anyone that's ever done the winter roads, things like, I'm not sure where the swearing comes. I'll try to watch my
Yeah,
mouth.
you're
But
good. You're good. Go ahead.
yeah, so
Let her fly.
things piss you off, right? So like
And
things,
the little things too.
Little
When you're
things.
at home, it'd just be like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're stuck in a car with someone, like we just did, a 12-hour drive, it's like, oh my god, he's doing that thing again.
and all
It's
it could
like,
be
you may
is
not
like maybe somebody has their legs 3
far
more
apart, yeah.
inches further than it needs to be, right? So it's like something so little and so
small,
irritating.
But
Yeah,
that can escalate too. So back to the point of like, if we don't all get, and not to say we all get along and we have to be super cool friends and all that, but just
Yeah.
having the respect of like, hey, we got to spend 2 months together in close quarters.
100%.
Let's just have some sort of respect, right?
Exactly.
And that definitely goes far. 'Cause
100%.
as I'm learning, there's times where you're just like, I just want to be alone. Like, and for me personally, like I'm a loner.
Yeah.
Like for me to be around all of these people, while I love all of you,
Yeah.
I like my alone time.
It's the independence.
So to find a space here where I can go be alone, it's hard.
Really hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Because we're either traveling, working, or trying to work out, or doing something that needs our physical attention, and it's like we don't get a lot of free time. And then you still got to eat, you got to shower,
And then we all have to work together trying to find these things too. Like
Yeah.
so half the time
Yeah.
there's never a gym. We literally
We
just went
okay,
looking
yeah.
for a gym
drove down the road,
and it's literally locked.
Yeah.
We can't get in. So now we got to figure out a way to make the gym work.
Yeah.
And now even a kitchen, which is like we're currently at a school.
Yep.
So like trying to make a kitchen work and now you're going to be walking all over each other, which for some people, like I come off like I have a lot of OCD sometimes. So like,
Yes, you do.
yeah.
Yes, you do.
So for me, it's like, I like things a certain way. So when I walk into a kitchen and
And
I
it's
walk,
not that way. I'm the same though, because I like things tidy.
yes,
So
yes.
we'll use dishes as an example.
You know what? Before you get into that, it's another quality of him that I really like that I look for.
The OCD.
I need clean people. Clean people.
It is.
Yeah.
It is because I've lived alone for most of my life, right? So, and even just for me, I don't have children or anything, so there's no major cleanup. So for me, it's always when I'm done with the dish, I just wash it, put it away, and I'm done.
Done. Yeah.
You know, that quality trait isn't necessarily passed on.
It's hard to
I'll say
find.
that. Yeah, I'll say
Because
that.
I'm a cooker and I clean as I go.
And as I go.
Yes.
Because then I could just get to finish my meal, and now I'm done.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
And I get to do whatever the heck else I got to do.
It's all yours.
Instead of doubling down and then having to go back and do dishes, and you're like, what the fuck?
It's like, why are we? We couldn't.
Why are we? doing
Yeah,
that?
and now we got to go clean up. And then a lot of times, once again, we're working on top of each other. So now
Yeah.
you leave all those dishes. We go to eat when we come back. Now you've left all those dishes for the next person who is now going to throw a fit or argue with you.
A little bit A and B, actually.
Exactly. So you get a mix.
Well, which is true because you kind of really see what people are like. Because when you just go and do shows, you get to know people. Oh, you're a nice person.
Yes.
But now it's like we're kind of living together, and it's like that's a whole new set of boundaries and expectations,
Yep.
and just just living conditions is different. Especially because this isn't
100%.
ideal in the sense of like we live out of a truck, we live out of a suitcase, we show up to these places, and we don't know exactly what we're going to get.
Exactly.
We still have to make the best of it.
Exactly.
And like we just said, we both have severe cases of OCD. So,
Which is something I appreciate with you, which is
is
probably why
I
we're
appreciate-
so
why we
close.
get
I'm
along,
saying, yeah.
but when it comes to, and if you've had a long day, like wrestling, like a double shot or something, so 2 shows in one day, or even just 2 matches in a night, and then the traveling, and you're not sleeping properly, and you're not eating the way you want.
Yeah.
That little thing can just be that little straw that's like,
Oh.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. You're hiding it very well, by the way.
I do hide it well.
Yeah, I was gonna
do
say,
very
I'm pretty sure, like, because I've been doing this forever. So for me, it's very easy for me to just blow up and not care.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah.
So can you give us a good story of somebody who just didn't meet the criteria and you just sounded off on? Whether we don't have to give a name, but just a good funny, because I know you have one.
Yeah,
I know you got a good story. But I think the people would appreciate a good freak out story here.
I had one person show up once who came onto the road and their whole expectations of what the tour was going to be was not what they signed
And
up
this was
for.
a full winter run?
Full winter run.
Okay.
Full winter run. They came on the road and they expected this to be a party. So when they came,
for the record, a party, it is not.
it's not a party.
It's
So
work,
when we
work,
come out
work.
here, we're PG. We're family-friendly shows. We do a lot of talks with the youth, anti-bullying, motivational speeches. We run shows for the youth, which means no swearing, no middle fingers, no nothing where it could be like aggressive in that kind of aspect. I know we're in wrestling, so obviously there's going to be some sort of sense of violence, but a lot of times we find a way to make it work with either comedy or some sort of fun. It's family-friendly fun. No alcohols, no drugs, no nothing like that can be on the tour. So then when we come out here, this is the precedence that we set. And a lot of times this is what a lot of businesses are looking for.
Which is true, right? Because you don't want to be around somebody who's hungover all the time because, now I have to get in the ring and are you going to be safe with me?
Exactly.
If you want to hurt yourself, by all means, go right ahead. I really don't care. But
100%.
are you going to drop me on my head because you went out partying and doing all that? Right?
Exactly. And the big thing is, like, I'll never shun anybody who does this stuff. Like, I like my drinks.
We all have fun.
Exactly.
But there's a time and place to be professional and then let loose. Too,
exactly.
Right?
So when we come out here, this is a job, this is a business, and we all need to be making sure that we are taking care of the business and taking care of each other as well as our safety and everything else. So when this person came on the road, it was totally threw them off to the point where it's like they thought they were coming out here to drink, do drugs, do a lot of things with girls. I'm not going to say too much, but they had different words to say other than that.
You can use your imagination.
Yeah, you figure that out. But all this stuff is like, we're not a rock and roll band showing up from the 80s where we're throwing stuff outside of the hotel windows and like trashing the places. That's not what this is. So unfortunately, we had someone come on the road that had that mindset.
And that's what they thought this was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize is that throughout the whole Winter Road tour that we did that year, this person had gone on Facebook throughout the whole tour and just trashing us the whole time.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
While they're still with you.
While they were still with us. And I didn't even realize it was the end of the tour where I finally had friends from their neck of the woods start messaging me, telling me that I should start going to look at their Facebook and start realizing what they're saying. So then I went back on and I just thread after thread after thread. I'm scrolling.
God.
I'm like, I can't believe this person's just crapping on us this whole time just because.
That baffles me.
Oh, yeah. And the whole thing was just to the point that it wasn't what they expected.
So it wasn't even that they had been reprimanded or anything. It was just literally they thought it was something and it was B when they thought it was A.
Exactly. And that's all it is. But mind you, we could kind of get the gist of it because out here, they were giving us different attitudes, right? So this is a person that was very closed-minded. So anytime we tried to give them some sort of advice, they right away shut it down or told us, that's not the way I do it, this is the way I wrestle. And so you either like it or you don't.
Wow. And sorry to cut you off, but I think one of the most important things that, for me personally, I'll just speak this for me, is just be coachable.
Yep.
Right? Because literally the first match, I wrestled for your father. I got back and I will never forget this as long as I'm in the business and just period. He goes, all right, kid, you're wrestling shit, but you get the business. I was like, and at first I was kind of taken back, like, oh, this is before I got to know your dad. Chris Thorne is just a straight shooter.
Very no filter, no nothing. No. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. No smoke up the ass. This is what it is.
Which I do appreciate to the moon and back because, like you said, if you have that thick skin and this is something that you really want to get into and be good at, you have to be able to be coachable, roll with the punches. I don't know squat. So having that mentality of like a veteran person is taking their time when they don't owe me diddly squat and saying, hey, this was crap, but this is where you can get better if you're willing to put in that time, right? So for me, like you especially, your father, Rex, so a bunch of other people back home that have taken the time, and I'm not young. So when people really know my age, they're like, oh, wow, you're a little bit older. And there's like, why are you looking up to these people? And because, someone like Rex and yourself, you've been in it for almost 20 years. And it's like the knowledge that you've given me already is just something I can't. You can't read that stuff, right? Like you can't read that in a book. Like this is real world stuff. So when your father was like, yeah, that was shit, kid, but you get the business. You get how to work a crowd and stuff. I was like, thank you. Like he didn't want to like completely lop me off at the knees and have me all like, but I'm not that person, right? But he was like, like you just keep working at it and you get better and you get better. But you have to, and I think that's maybe what's missing, I think, in a lot of the newer people is they don't have that thick skin where it's like, oh, he's attacking me personally. He doesn't like me as a person. And it's like, no, what you're doing because again, he's my employer when I'm working here, right? So if you went to a job and, you were a dish pit or something and you didn't clean that dish and your boss came and said, hey, this dish is still dirty. Are you going to get mad at your boss for telling you that?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would hope not. you probably wouldn't last
I
long,
really hope
right?
not, but I've seen people that do.
Well, that's what you were saying there. That person was just, no, I already know everything. And you can have all of this skill in the world. You can look great and all that. But if you're not coachable and willing to learn and get better and tweak things and all of this, I can't see you lasting very long in this business. Right?
And most people don't, or they end up getting hurt and injured to a point where it's like they can't wrestle anymore because now the point was something someone could have tried to coach you on and teach you how to do something
already
better.
knew how to do.
Exactly.
Right.
You already knew how to do it, and now you're in a hospital, and now you could never do it again.
Have you seen anything? I'm sure you have, where someone
Like
got
that?
injured, where it was like, hey, I kind of told you and warned you about this, and you already knew it.
Yeah.
And I can too, like, you can only waste your breath but for so long, right?
Mine's mostly, I'm not going to lie, I've never really seen people like get super injured to the point where they're out forever. Like I've seen people get injured and they're out for a bit. And I've noticed that there is some people out there who actually they're like almost prone to injury.
Yeah.
So now it's become a thing where it's like they're always getting injured and they're never going to know why because you can't teach them.
Because you can't teach them.
Right. So the big thing is, it's like there's ways of doing things safer. Yes, maybe you're doing it really cool and you're doing it and it looks good, but maybe you're landing differently.
A little funnier.
Yeah, so it's like maybe you're landing on your side when you should be landing on your back, or maybe you should be landing on your stomach. Whatever it ends up being, just there's safer bumps, and a lot of people aren't doing it. So say when you go to try to explain it, now they don't really.
Do you think that's just like an ego thing?
A lot of times it can be because I find that it's in the new people when you're talking to them. So if they get people that really blow smoke up their ass real early, right? So it's someone comes into the business and they show a lot of potential, which this is very popular. And especially now, like our neck of the woods in Ontario, there's promotions everywhere. No matter where you go,
There's a show within 20 minutes of every direction.
Exactly.
Right?
You can basically guarantee yourself on a booking, you probably could wrestle every weekend in Ontario.
I've been very lucky. Like for me, myself, like I'm a personal trainer in my real job, but every weekend, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes 2 shows a day.
Yep.
And I'm very lucky for that too, right? And it's
100%.
get out of the way, Riggy. And I'm very lucky for that. But like you're saying, it's a gift and a curse.
Yes.
Because I have a feeling I know where that story's going. If the person's been told, "Oh, you're amazing, you're amazing," it's like, well, I've been told I'm amazing since I started. So why would I change what I'm doing? Right?
Exactly.
And I think if you get to a certain level, that ain't gonna fly.
And the problem is, so say now, let's say, so we'll take exactly what you're saying there, right? So they tell you you're amazing for a solid year. Okay, so a year has gone by and all you've ever heard from people is you're amazing, don't change. This is the way it needs to be. And you've only wrestled, let's say 16 months, right? It's like when you tell someone how old your new baby is, 16 months. So 16 months you've been wrestling for a solid year, you're solid, you can't do anything wrong, you're amazing. Now all of a sudden you wrestle a name. Or now all of a sudden you wrestle someone who has experience and they're not afraid to tell you that something's wrong. So now you go to talk to that person and this person tells you everything. There's a list of things that you need to work on. And now what is their reaction going to be? They're now going to sit here and they're going to be like, well, I've been told for a solid year that I've been great.
It's you who needs to change up.
Yeah, so if you're the one coming in, because then maybe this person that gives you the advice may not look that good in your eyes, maybe to that person's eyes, right? But there's things that this person's doing that this person could never do because they've never learned that, right? So like I've noticed when we get people that come out here, the winter roads, we constantly work in front of crowds that do not know wrestling, right?
Which is the big thing I've noticed from the shows back home, more on the indie kind of stuff
Exactly.
too, right?
And they know what they want, right? So, and the thing is, they're the ones pushing, they want the spots, they want the cool moves, they want to see cool little things like that all the time. But now when you come out here, you're wrestling in front of people that don't care.
They don't care.
Right? They don't care about what the wrestling is, but what they want is to be involved.
Yeah.
They want to be entertained and they want to be interacted with.
Because it threw me off the way with the first few shows. I was like, we're doing these big moves and stuff, and the biggest pop was a body slam.
Yep.
And it took me a minute to go, what, am I doing something wrong? Like, I don't understand. And then you were like, no, like you said, it's not a disrespectful thing, but they're not what we would consider wrestling. I don't want to use the word fan, but just like an everyday wrestling connoisseur, if you will,
we grow up with, right?
Yeah.
Like when in your neck of the woods, wrestling is something different than what it would be out here for a version of wrestling, right? Which is a lot of times, this is like fair style crowds. So if you, I know you've worked on for those fairs, but even then, once again, with the fair styles, there's still around the vicinity of cities, right?
Yeah.
So now you still might get some of these fans that go to these wrestling shows to watch you wrestle, where they are now taught to like the spots, they're taught to like the moves, and a lot of times it's from either the new people coming in and that's what they're taught, and then they just start shooting all these spots and all these cool moves, and once again they look amazing, they really do.
But it's just know your crowd.
Exactly, and there's ways of making it work better, right? So when you come out here, you learn how to make it stick with people and how to draw an actual emotion or a reaction from people in a genuine way.
Because it is a big difference now. And I mean, if you're just the casual wrestling person, you may not understand the difference between like an indie, real, fanatical fan and just people here who wrestling. I would assume most of these communities, we are the only wrestling thing that ever comes here.
We are, yes.
Right? So they get a show once a year.
Yep.
They're just happy to see somebody new.
And well, and the thing is this too, it's like, so we've taken over for Ernie Todd. So CWF has always been one of, like Tony Condello, we are basically like a sister to the Winter Roads. So between the two of us, we're the only ones that do the Winter Roads.
Which I didn't know before. I was talking to your father about that, and I don't know why. I think just because Canada's so big and vast that there must have been other people doing it.
And there's people that run tours all over. Like, so it's just a Winter Road, right?
Because it's a different beast, as I'm learning. Like, these roads are just wild. Like,
I was kind of curious on
smokes.
what you thought of them, because I know we talked about it before, but a lot of people cannot really understand what we're talking about until you see it yourself.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's weird because it's not that it's not what I thought it was going to be, but it's also completely different than what I thought. If that doesn't really make sense, but
It kind of makes sense.
I just how long these ice roads are to get to these communities off of a main road for me is something that's paved and maintained.
Yep.
And this ice road is essentially a bit of dirt that's been cleared through a forest and
So that's the Winter Road. The Winter Road is like
the Winter Road. Sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
the ice road.
The ice road. Yes, that was
That's
a little
the ice.
sketchy.
That's the lake.
That was a little.
Those-
That was the first time I did that one. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous as hell.
Oh, I can imagine. The worst part was we came on at nighttime.
At nighttime.
So you didn't really get a chance to really experience the whole thing, which I'm glad that now
We got through on the daytime too.
Yes,
which is cool because it's cool to go through maybe it was better for nighttime on the first one because I couldn't see shit. It was just, we're going through it. Okay. But then, yeah, like you said, we got to do it in the daytime and just seeing it and seeing this side of Canada and how just big.
Yeah.
Like we're still in Ontario for Lord's sake. Like there's so much of it, and how much of it is just remote.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Like, and just how different this way of living is up here. Like, for example, groceries, water is like a commodity here where it's almost as expensive as gold.
So literally just went to the Northern store here now, which the Northern is the grocery store
of
the
here,
North. So any community you go to, either they have their own grocery store that they run from like their community,
right,
or the Northern has their grocery store where they offer to everybody. But already, to get a 24 of water, I had to ask about it today because normally I find the 4 liters.
We do the big jugs, yeah.
Yeah. So
what was the damage on that?
You ready for this?
So for a 24-pack, regular bottled water.
Regular bottled water. You know what? I'll let you guess. Guess quick.
Guess?
Yeah. And then we'll do the drum roll.
24 bottles. I'm going to go high, so I'm going to say
high.
$50.
$50?
$50.
Okay.
For 2 4 water.
Are you ready for this?
Oh, God.
So, it was actually $50.
Was it actually?
It was a really good guess. You nailed that. It was actually $48.99.
But even just to that now, like if you think of now the logistics and what makes this so expensive, if you guys could only just travel to one of these roads, it is so far out of the fucking way.
Yeah.
It is so remote, and it's just something that like water. And I am not gonna lie, I took it for granted. If I hadn't have come on the spring tour before, and we had come to a few of these communities where like water is just like gold.
Yeah.
Right. I would have been floored and just kind of in trouble because for me, I drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
So not being prepared for that, and it's like, oh, I drink tap water at home. Here, it's sometimes you're not doing that.
No.
Because if we get sick, we're kind of out of the way.
Not even on.
What?
Imagine.
You're gonna make me get up and look?
White circle and the red in the middle.
Yeah.
Red in the middle means it's recording.
No, it's when it goes all red, it's recording. White circle around it, it's not recording, isn't it?
I really hope this wasn't recording the whole time.
Now we gotta get up and do this again.
Oh, he's messing with you. Look at this guy.
We're gonna leave this in if this is not recording.
Hey guys, this just in.
It is recording. Ah, Liam
It's
Carr.
been recording.
Golly, Liam.
Got it. Wow. So Liam and Rex are the shit disturbers we on. No, I'm okay on the store. Thank you very much.
Well, now that I was rudely interrupted, I'm going to delete your episode, Liam. The price of water and how
Price of
shocking
water.
that was.
Price of water. Yeah.
I drink a lot of water, and then to see how expensive just life is up here.
Oh, yeah.
Man, but a lot of these communities are very traditional in the sense I do believe they still do their own hunting and stuff in certain areas too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And sourcing their own food.
A lot of times, actually, which we haven't really had a chance to experience yet, which I really hope we do for your case. But a lot of times, we'll go to communities and they'll actually show up with either they just went hunting. So now it's like they'll show up with moose or deer or like geese and everything else that they're
That
like
would be
fish. And the one time they took us ice fishing and I got to use the auger to like put the hole into the ice and like we got to do fishing.
So you got
and
the full experience.
got the full
See,
experience.
that would be cool.
Oh yeah,
I hope we get to do something like that.
it's so much fun.
I'm not an outdoorsy kind of guy, but I feel like while we're here, you might as well take advantage of everything because it's just like the lifestyle here is just so different from that.
Oh.
Like literally we have a Tim Hortons on every corner. We have a store, a grocery store, a convenience store on every other corner.
100%.
I haven't seen a Tim Hortons in about a week and a half.
Which is wild because now you'll see Chris Thorne start like withdrawing.
Yeah,
Because
and now-
Tim Hortons
yeah.
is his baby,
Yeah.
right? And if you
I've
haven't
hardly-
noticed,
yeah,
I was gonna say
yeah.
any chance we get, it's like every 2 hours we need a Tim Hortons stop, and that's Chris Thorne trying to fill up on his car.
Although I think that's why me and your dad also get along, and I like your father so much. Is my caffeine
coffee
addiction is
addiction. That's fair.
I don't have to worry about it. Because I never want, especially being the new guy, I don't want to be like, hey, maybe we could stop for a coffee or something. It's like,
you're-
I know Thorne's already a step ahead of me, right?
You're like,
So
I
that's
never have to worry about asking for coffee.
No,
'cause
never.
Chris Thorne wants his
Yeah,
coffee.
if he sees it, we're going to get it. which is
100%.
nice.
I'm gonna throw one little thing onto your why prices are so high here too.
Yeah, views, please.
I know for maybe a lot of you don't understand why it would be, but if you watch Ice Road Truckers, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is they're the ones bringing the supplies in.
Yep.
So once a year, they build these roads, right? So come
I guess that's they can only do it when it's frozen.
exactly. So because of the wintertime, they rely on the wintertime. So it needs to be cold here to build these roads. So by the end of January, they start to build the roads, and that's where the lakes become roads.
Mm-hmm.
They go through the swamp, they go through the lakes, they keep putting holes into the lakes, they keep trying to fill the water up onto the
So
thing
they're
to-
flooding them.
they flood the lakes. Yep, it's like basically building another ice rink, but they just keep trying to add the water, and it's only in a section too. So say if this is all the lake, they have this little piece that they flood. So over here, like a lot of times, so if you notice it when we're driving down the ice roads, you'll see trees that are like pinned on the side of the banks, and that's telling you if you go past that, you're probably going to crack the ice and you're going through. Yeah, so they literally thick this up so that way when that's all flooded, you can drive on that because the ice is probably about this thick.
So how long would you figure, or do you know how long that process of prepping a road takes?
Weeks.
Weeks.
It takes weeks. And then their shutdown point on the ice roads is March 15th. You can't
So now
go
for those who don't understand what I feel like I kind of understand it. I'm talking to you and your father and stuff, but what does that mean
for the flooding part or when they end it?
when it's done? Like
When
what
it's-
happens if
So when it's done, you're liable for your own vehicle and own life, basically. So after March,
I think that's your own life.
yeah, like so because basically that's what it is, right? So now it's like I don't know how the whole thing works. As if you were to go in, I don't know if it's all insured or how that works. I'm not quite sure. But between that time up to March 15th, after that moment, it's nothing because now you're more. I guess it's more
susceptible to going through for sure.
Exactly.
There's some sun on it.
Exactly,
More
right?
heat, yeah.
So it starts to weaken, and especially because of how like climate's been, things get really worse, right? So now it's like you're driving past this thing past the 15th, and now all of a sudden the ice cracks on you. But from that moment that the ice roads are gone, there's no more roads here. They have no way to get here other than flying out. So
And even for me, like now being in these communities and still seeing it driving over this road, that still blows my mind.
yeah, 100%.
Like these people are completely cut off and remote for more than half of a full year.
Yep, 100%. So that whole time from March 15th till, say, the end of January is completely nothing. They can't leave unless they pay for a flight to get out of here. And flights to get in and out of here are ridiculous.
I can only imagine how expensive that would be.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Actually, fun story for you. We had someone, which is actually the next community that we're going to. We had someone come in, and it was the first show that we actually came with this person, which this person is another person that like I wish would quit the business. I think they may have. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't really pay attention to them anymore. But this person came in super egotistical, super cocky, super like, this is like, I'm the best, whatever it is. And I guess that would be all of those explanations there.
Yep.
But when they came to this show, they actually flew out of that community on their own dime to get the hell out of here because it was just too hard for them. And all we did was drive from Niagara to here, which is 30-something hours, maybe. So it's
You say that's so nonchalantly.
so,
Just a casual 30 piece.
Yeah, it's nothing.
And that just goes to show how long you've been doing this too, right? Like, my Lord.
The thing is too, like, to me, I know we're about to do 2 months of this, right? So yeah, 30 hours.
So do you now, to that, now do you psych yourself up anymore for this? Or do you just like, I've done this, I know what to expect, I'm a lot more at peace and calm?
I feel like
I've noticed for you, like I've never really seen you, and as a leader too, this is an amazing trait to have. Like you don't show panic or like nervousness, or you're always just calm for the most part. I mean, with us in terms of like just the business, like when we're all shooting the shit, like that's a different story. But for the most part, when it's time to be Jesse the professional, you're just calm and cool, taking care of what you have to. Now, is that, do you think, just coming from doing this from so long, or is that just kind of how the business kind of makes you?
That's a great question. I really like that. I honestly do believe it is from the experience at this point, like for doing it for so long. Like I feel like I get more prepared every year. So it's like, if you throw something different at me every year, then at least I know that's something I'm going to remember and I'm going to carry it over to the next year. And I feel like in situations where it can get scary and it can get tough, the first thing, like you said, sometimes being a leader, people are looking up to you for some sort of either advice or whether they're looking up to you for a solution to figure out this problem. And I find if everyone starts to panic and everyone starts to freak out, we're never going to find a solution. We're never going to try to figure out this problem. And the big thing is now we're all sitting here freaking out and we're just making things worse.
And that problem's still there.
Exactly. And it's like, we're not trying to figure it out. So a lot of times when the issue occurs, I like to brainstorm things right away. There's no time for thinking of like, okay, what are we going to do? What's this? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, we got to brainstorm a situation right now because now we got 2 trucks over here that are full of a crew that are now either looking up to us or hoping that we have an answer to solve this. And right now, maybe we don't.
Maybe you don't.
Right. And at these times, it's like, I just try to tell everyone to like, chill in the vehicles, just take it easy, maybe listen to music, have your talks, do whatever you want, and then we'll just go handle the situation until it's done. And then once it's done, we can come over and let everybody know where we're at and if it's a situation. So say like, once again, with these tours, they call them the winter death tours, mostly because sometimes when it's very unfortunate, but when we come to these communities, a lot of times the death part means somebody passes away in the community, right? So it's not like it's not about this whole point where people think that you just come out here and you die out here. That's not what it is. Which a lot of times you talk to anybody that talks
that's
about
what they think.
That's exactly what they think.
The wrestler died.
Yeah, but when we come out here, it's because someone either passed away in the community and they shut the show down.
Right.
Because it's a very intimate show and it's very intimate community. So
because I feel like you, especially you, every community we go to, there's a big embrace for some of the elders that you've probably known now for so long. And it's like, oh yeah, well that's also because you've been coming here for 10 plus years, right? You've built this relationship.
This feels like family when I come out.
That's got to be cool.
It's really
because you guys have paved a way. And now, even for me now, I will say this, because when I did the spring tour, I know I will remember this for the rest of my life. A young man had bought a whistle from me from my merch table. Now we came back to this tour and this kid came up to me, didn't know who he was, and then he pulled out the whistle, and I got emotional because it was just, for me, it was like, whoa, we actually are making a positive impact. And it just reminds me of being a kid. Because that's all I wanted was Bret Hart sunglasses. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure you have that thing when you were a kid, when you were watching it, like 100%. I wanted this thing. But to see that child, he was in his teens maybe, but regardless, he came up and I still got my whistle. And a year later for me, right? And me being so new to this, that was a moment I will always cherish and remember, because it was just like, you made that connection with a fan.
100%.
Right? And now I can only imagine 15 years of doing this, the connections and people that you've met, you probably have stories like that for
It's wild that you say that, because last place that we were at actually showed up to me and they had showed me a picture of when I first started around like 2015, 2014 it was. And it was me holding a baby on my lap for this picture. And she came over to me to show me this picture, took a picture with me, and she's now in high school.
Oh, jeez.
Grade 9 or 10, I think she was in. And I was completely mind blown. And just to show me this, I'm like, it's just crazy to think that you've been watching me for so long, all these years, and had to show me this. And even
to the gifts.
They make us gifts and stuff too. And you got your,
I got mine here too.
Yeah, you do. Look at this
so
stuff.
I'm the new guy, and they're giving me gifts. It's a small bracelet, but it's the thought for me.
100%.
Right.
Have you got any notes yet?
I got called a chicken. Chicken.
A chicken.
Chicken nugget.
They
called me nuggets. Yeah.
I was gonna say I actually have at home a bin that's about this big.
Oh, that's a cool.
And it's in this bin is all these notes, gifts, things that people like. Actually, even old wrestling gear that I used to wear sits in this bin as like memorabilia for myself for when eventually I want to pop it open and just look at like some fan written things for me.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, all throughout the years of the winter tours and all the tours I've gone to.
Because you, like I said, the double back on that, you do form these connections and bonds with people, right?
Yeah.
Because we're here once a year. They don't get much of anything coming up here, right? Because it's so remote. You can only come here at certain times. Most people are not doing this.
100%.
Because it is not easy to get here logistically.
And if they do, they're either quitting or they question their life.
I did. I'm just kidding. But it does take a certain level of commitment too. Because even if I wanted to go home, which I don't.
Yeah.
How the hell are you getting home? Where am I going? I don't know where I am, where I'm going.
You'd be like that one guy who flew out. $1,500, by the way, for a one-way ticket.
I think I'll stay.
And that was 7-8 years ago.
Oh, so it's probably like $2,000 or something.
It's probably up there now a little bit more. Yeah.
That's crazy. How many people, let's do that. How many people on your tenure of doing this have quit? Like they came out.
Quit, done?
Like just halfway through or any sort of length through, just didn't see it through. And they're just like, I'm not doing this no more.
So one tour alone, we had 6 people pull off.
6 people on one tour.
It was the most I've ever seen. And that was 2 years ago, I think it was.
Wow.
2 years ago was that.
What was the main, do you know? Like the
couldn't handle it. Just couldn't do it. Yeah, it was too hard for them. Actually, we had another one too, a couple more years before that. Once again, they just couldn't handle it, and they had.
So do you think these people are just thinking it's something different, or is it like the lifestyle thing? Because it's not easy.
It's honestly the lifestyle. Yeah. And I feel like, so when people go to come out here, and the biggest advice that I like to give anybody, so if you are an aspiring wrestler and this is something that you really want to do and you look at it like, okay, what you watch on TV, you got to remember there is a whole backstage thing that you guys do not understand yet. Yeah. And this is it.
It's been eye-opening even for myself, too, to really see the business.
Yes.
Right? Because, again, I come from a short tenure of being in the business. Most of the places I go to, there's already a ring set up. There's a crew for the ring. We are everything here.
We are everything.
I don't know if people understand that from the prior videos here, but, like, we do it all. Every set you've ever seen in a video, we set up.
11, 12 people we bring on the tour. And it's
you had 6 of them quit.
6 of them quit. We've tried to fill them up, and once again, this is how quick we have to adapt. So the one year we lost 2 people, and that one we were already shorthanded. There was 8 of us
to start.
8 to start, and then
down to 6.
One person left, and then we were at 7 at that time. My brother had to wrestle 3 times that night for a solid 2 weeks. Because we didn't have the wrestlers. Fill it in. Yep. And we came up with other characters where we can make it work, where we put like a mask on or we put some sort of crazy thing on.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's just trying to adapt as fast as we can and then just making the shows full again. Because a lot of times these guys pay you to bring you in to do these shows.
And they don't care. Like they paid for a service.
It's not their fault that someone pulled away. That's on us.
And I don't think people will see that. You as being one of the leaders here, that falls on your shoulders.
Yeah. And for me, being that guy, I 100% would be the guy going, well, I guess I'm wrestling 3 times tonight.
And I will say I respect that about you because I've seen you get into some sticky situations here. And again, you do try and keep calm, and there's certain things we're not supposed to be privy to, and I understand and respect that. But I've seen you, where something comes across the radio and it's like, oh shit, what are we going to do? And you're just calm, cool. And you step in first. And I think that's a great leader quality is never, how do I put it? Like, there's nothing you would ask of us that you yourself would not do. And that, for me especially, I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure everyone else will attest to this, to where like that's very respectable because it's not just like, oh, I'm in charge, go do this because I can tell you what to do. It's like, no, I'm also going to do it with you and be alongside you.
Yeah.
And for me, that speaks volumes to who you are as a person and also a leader too. Because and again, how do I put it? Like, we are an employee right now, and you have every right to just be like, go do this and do that and be bossy and point a finger and sit down and do nothing. But that is not you, and I really respect that about you and your father.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You guys lead by example, and I think as leaders, that's a very good quality to have.
I aspire to that. So it's like, for me, I feel like I've always wanted to be that guy, because to me, I've never looked at it where a leader tells people what to do. They do it with you, or they show you how to do it properly. And I feel like if you want someone to grow in this business, or you really want to mold, say, the youth or anybody who is an aspiring wrestler, I feel like these are the people that you want to show these qualities to. So that way they have those qualities and they can pass down to the next generation.
At the end of the day, you still technically for another month and a bit have to work alongside of us.
Yeah.
So if we were hot dogging it the whole time, you got to be like, okay, like, I'm going to ask you again to do this thing. Like, I can only imagine how frustrating. And I'm sure you've had those people.
Honestly,
because ring crew is not easy. Just for the record, after you wrestled 2 or 3 times in a night, you slept in the back of a truck. I'm sore. I'm hungry. Then you got to tear down a couple thousand pounds worth of steel and lumber. I don't want to.
Nope.
Right? But it's a matter of, well, I'm not going to leave that for you to do, or a fellow worker, where it's like, I wouldn't want them to sandbag and leave that work for me. So I have to pull up my bootstraps, and I think that is contagious. So that kind of stuff rolls downhill, whether if it's you sandbagging, and sorry, I don't mean sandbagging, but just like pointing and shooting people, as opposed to, you're always here with us.
Yep.
Right? And we see that, and that's a valuable trait, I think, again, just to bang that home. It's like, lead by example. What you want your people.
Actually.
Well, it's hard not to, brother. Like, and I mean that seriously. Like, all jokes aside, you're here all the time with it, right? And I can only imagine. Like, there's a lot more on your shoulders too. Like you said, the booking, the logistics, a lot of the stuff that we aren't privy to. Then you also have to be the star of the show. All of that pressure, and then you still got to tear it down and build it again too, right?
Yeah, literally. And then drive.
And then
to the
driving.
next place. Yeah, the driving's a lot. But one thing I got to say is, for this tour in particular, I appreciate every single one of you guys, because one thing I've noticed is the ring crew, or so setup and teardowns, which I'm going to let everybody know, half the time I normally have 1, 2, maybe 3 people that I have to chase every
I couldn't imagine.
tour.
That'd be so annoying.
Oh yeah, and
just like getting out, like, come on, pick up. Let's
exactly,
keep going,
and a lot of times is if these people slack, I now have to pick up that slack.
then you have to stop what you're doing to, hey, go do this.
Exactly, and now it's like, I'm slowing down here. I now have to chase this person, or I have to find.
Well,
them.
shit rolls downhill too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this tour in particular, I've noticed every single person has dropped everything that they're doing. When I ask for something, they've already dropped something, yourself included.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
There's no questions, there's no stupid stuff. It's just, okay, you got it. They get it
what
done.
do you need? No.
Exactly.
But I think that too, because back to what we were talking about earlier, we were together for 2 months. So like if I asked you, hey, Jess, can you help me? And you're like, I'll figure it out or something. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to go ask him for help anymore.
Exactly. And then now, are you going to ask me for help if, like, say, match goes to crap, or you need an idea on something? It's like, we need to keep our minds open, and we need to try to stay as positive.
It really is like a balancing act of like feelings and emotions and professionalism, and then also, I care about you because you're my friend, but like, I need you to teach me something new. And it's like all of these things coming together in a fine balancing act of, I'm not going to murder you today. Yeah, right?
Literally.
Well, no, I don't mean you, but I just in the sense of.
But now.
Literally. But it really is a balancing act too, because like, you're tired, you're cranky, you're perpetually sore.
Oh yeah.
Then I can only imagine too, as the boss, being like, why do I have to ask you to do this again, man?
Yeah.
Like, for me, I have a very short temper, and it's just when you add all of these other things on top of it, my breaking point is right there,
it's close,
right there, right.
And I can have a temper too, to be honest. As much as it may not seem,
I've never noticed.
You've never noticed. And I feel like the worst part is, like, sometimes it's like, there's one guy on the road, unfortunately, that we have to keep telling things to, and Duncan knows who he is. So
not to put him on the spot.
Yeah, not to throw him on the spot. I love him to death, and he's one of our students. But he's one of those guys that I'm going to say, I have to keep repeating something to him. He's going to get it.
He'll get it.
He's going to get it. And
I have faith in him. I do.
The fact that I love his ambitions too. He's got the heart for it. He's got the ambition. He's got a drive for it. Just, unfortunately, we may have to baby him a little bit more as opposed to some of the others that normally we would have.
He's looking at you now.
He's looking at us now, yeah. I only say this because I know he's watching us, but yeah, he's a piece of crap, and I really wish he didn't come on the road.
All right, well, we're going to leave it on that note.
Love you, Duncan.
But to that, you said student. So back home, you're also teaching wrestling. You guys have a wrestling
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Can we dive into a little bit about that? What that entails
For
for,
sure.
you also? Because you're a full-time wrestler. Like you're always on the road doing stuff, whether it's this tour or wrestling back home. And you're also helping out with a wrestling school.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does that entail for you also? Stuff we do in there.
So, well, basically, I'm the trainer now there. Yeah.
Tag, you're
It's yeah. So, essentially started with basically with like my dad just being too busy. Right. So, that being said, I'm at the classes majority of the time. Like if I'm not there, normally it's because I have something going on or there's an actual legitimate reason that why I can't be there. But between Mondays and Thursdays, I'm normally at that school and I'm here to teach people and train as much as I possibly can. And a lot of times it's obviously I'm teaching the foundation of the wrestling business, which is like going to be how we bump, how do we do things, how do we move in the ring, where we know, or like teaching people to know where they got to be, their feeding, the positioning. And there's so much with it that I feel like
there's so much I feel like people either aren't privy to, obviously, if you're not on the inside of it, or they just watch and go, oh, body slam.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
And here's the thing. It may take me 2 minutes to teach you a body slam, but can I teach you how to take a body slam and make this person look like $1 million?
Yeah.
Right? And there's a difference to it. So it's like, yeah, sure, I can take a body slam all day long. But now there's that person who can take a body slam and you look amazing.
You look huge and strong and yeah.
Exactly. And even in it just all remotes down to the point where it's like how this person either sells it, how this person feeds with it, how this person moves around, and even the way they take their steps into the next thing.
Yeah.
Like all that is stuff that you learn through experience. And I feel like now I've had the opportunity to work with, and blessed, by the way, to work with a lot of the names that I have now. A lot of these opportunities where
this is kind of what's been, give me, because I know some of the people that you've worked for, and I myself am fans of most of them. Give me a couple of your top matches, people that you've worked with, that you've had the most fun, or just had a banger of a match, or just something you enjoyed, someone you enjoyed working with.
Well, some of the on it, I'll try to think of a lot. Actually, one of my favorites, honestly, to this day, and I feel like he's taught me so much in professional wrestling, is I'm actually going to say Cody Deaner. So as much as a lot of times where people may look at Cody as this local guy, he wrestles in Ontario and that's who he is. To me, I've never learned so much storytelling and psychology through anybody else other than Cody Deaner, man. Yeah. That guy has taught me so much. And another one who's taught me either intensity and gear changes, which I never thought I would, is Josh Alexander.
Right.
And between the two of them, I feel like I completely revamped my whole style of my professional wrestling and how I really think about a match. Deaner's really showed me, instead of going, oh, I want to hit this, I now go, okay, what's my story that I'm going to tell in this match? And if I have this story, how do I get there? Because obviously, if this is the big thing that I want people to understand what I'm going for, how am I going to get to that moment? And what are things and little triggers that I can do where people are watching this match to go, oh yeah, he's still trying to get to this. And then finally when this happens, that's my climax.
Because I feel like a lot of it, I don't know. Again, I'll just speak for myself just in case you don't share this. But a lot of the stuff now is very spot festy, where the main thing that I'm learning on this tour is give the audience a chance to react to what you've done.
Yes.
Because if I just hit you with boom, 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 they're still looking at the first one going, what the heck was that? And now you've done 6 more things and oh my God.
Yep.
And it's like for us as workers, it's like save your body a bit too, right? Like
we have bump cards.
Yeah, and you only get so many.
Exactly.
That ticker's going down.
Exactly.
Right?
And the big thing is people don't understand that. Like when you're young, you don't think about that.
You don't think about it. I'm in great shape. I'm young. I feel great every day. And it's like,
it's like I'll bump 1,000,000 miles an hour. Let's do some stuff off the top rope to the floor. Like it don't matter. But the end of the day, we all get old, right? So, and now it's like, if I can tell a story as opposed to doing all this other stuff, why am I wasting my energy doing this?
Not, right?
Exactly. Then when I could just be doing this. And a lot of times, actually, it's people's cardio. So if you watch a lot of people get blown up fast, and it's because they're doing all
that crazy stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of times, actually, believe it or not, I have a lot of people come up to me and they praise me on my cardio, which is not something that I've always been great with. So believe it or not, actually, Josh Alexander, the first time I wrestled him, I wrestled him back in the tag match, but I try to forget that because I was awful. But
at least you're honest.
And it's, once again, you just don't understand things yet. Like for me, I was that fair wrestler and I was just trying to figure out how to make things work. But
just not mess up.
Exactly. When Josh and I started doing our singles feud, we had like a nice little story that we did at CWF. a while back, which I do find was the reasoning of me trying to take off into what I've been doing now. But that first match that Josh came into, I was nervous. I was afraid. And then when he came in and he just pushed me to my limits to a point where it's like I realized I'm like, I need to go to a gym and I need to walk on a treadmill or I need to do some running or I need to do something because right now my cardio is awful.
And that's a very awful feeling. Like I come from boxing and stuff. So being in any sort of fight, a match or something, and you can't breathe.
Yes.
And everyone's looking at you. The lights are hot. Your adrenaline's thumping, but you're...
Yep. And you can see it. So you watch the difference in your performance because it's like 1 minute, maybe you have intensity. By the end of that match, you're just, you're trying to throw what you can and you just have nothing left. And the big thing that I learned through experience as time has gone by, it's pacing yourself. Right. And a lot of times people don't know how to pace themselves. So
I myself included. I'm working on it. And that's one of the big things I've had Rex say to me. Just slow down, man. Like, what? Slow down.
You can slow down. And it's like finding your moments too. Because sometimes you'll slow down because that's what we told you to do. But now you're in the ring and there's moments where you're slowing down on things where it's like,
got to speed up a bit.
Yeah, you're not supposed to slow down. So now you got to find your give and take moments. But those moments where you can slow down, you slow down.
Slow down,
Make sure
take a breath.
Exactly. That's your breather. That's your time to recalibrate, re-get things going again. And once you're ready to go,
boom,
trigger it back on. And now we switch gears and then we're going back into it.
Yeah, because when you're getting to the point of your brain is just thinking about breathing.
Yep.
So now everything else in terms of safety, the next point in the match, everything else is out the window. You're just
100%.
trying not to fall down from being out of breath. And
you're trying not to die.
Try not to die.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound so drastic. That's
I'll make it
yeah, you will.
drastic.
But it's tough, and that's just a terrible feeling too. When you know I could have done a little better in my preparation too, right? And that's one thing I've gotten from working with Alex Shelley in terms of my training is just the cardio has to be there,
dude.
Like the
wrestling
cardio and
him
stuff.
too, by the way. That guy is a cardio machine.
He's a machine.
Oh, a machine. And I was blessed to work him. That bled into Motor City, by the way. So I had to wrestle him as singles, and then it turned into Motor City Machine Gun. So then you would have Saban come out right after. And I'm like, well, that was a cardio test.
I can imagine what that's like. And watching them still, like, he's not a spring chicken too, but still watching the two of them bounce around and do what they do in WWE is, man. Because I saw him, I met him at Demand Lucha, and I was setting up the ring, and I just got to kind of watch him and the rest of the performers just getting ready. And for me, as a personal trainer, I was drawn to him in his warm-up. So he just let me watch. I didn't want to get in the way or anything. I was just kind of a fly on the wall, just watching, which is kind of weird. Watching another grown man stretch and warm up and stuff. But I had realized a trick, and I'll still use this too, being new. If I'm trying to get in someone's ear, find something that they also share a passion about, as opposed to being new. Hey, give me a couple pointers, man. Like, what are you going to tell it? Well, work hard and don't suck. Like, how many times do you think these people have been asked that question, right?
Yes.
So I found with Shelley, it was like, he offers personal training or his training, online training, and I'm a personal trainer. So it's like, I found value in what you're talking about. And then he gave me an hour of his time and we just talked, which for me was really, really cool being so new and having someone with that much experience and just knowledge too, right?
That guy is brilliant when it comes to aesthetics and like body training and it's the mobility.
The mobility, and I will say that is and it sounds stupid to say because I am a personal trainer. Yes, you're supposed to stretch, and I did stretch when I felt, but he taught me be proactive, not reactionary. So he's like, you need to be mobile and you need to do your stretching. Don't wait till you're stiff. It's too late. Yeah. Right. So now I've been working with him for about 2.5 months, and just I feel different. I'm not away from the bodybuilding training, but a lot of that training is more for the mobility and functionality of what we do in here. Yeah. Because when I started, I looked great, but there wasn't much movement in me. I was very stiff and rigid.
You're very robotic, as I'm sure some people. Yeah.
Yeah. So now having trying to stay loose and all of that has definitely helped. And he's just cool because he lets me pick his brain, which for me is just an untapped wealth of knowledge at my fingertips.
Oh, 100%. Because now if he's willing to help you with that, it'd be great if he's helping you with other wrestling type of things as well. Because that man is brilliant. And one thing I will say is, like, even when we were kind of talking and going through our stuff, like things that he's thinking of that I'm not thinking of. And like, actually, it's crazy. One of the biggest and greatest advice that he's given me was be the lightest guy in the ring, which is the lightest guy. And
what does that mean?
It's just basically you don't want to be the guy that's hurting everyone.
Oh.
Or you don't want to be the guy that's coming in and hitting something where people are now going, oh, I got to wrestle this guy.
I don't want to take that.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, this is like way too reckless. And this is a guy that can do everything and not even touch you, which is amazing. Like, it's absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, it was one of the greatest advices that I've been trying to run with since we've worked, and I don't think I'm very good at it still, but you think so?
Some credit now. Come on.
Oh, I appreciate
Come on,
that.
bud.
I was gonna say I do stiff people a lot with my elbows in the corner, so those.
Well, you do. But
But to be fair, I am the first person to tell you that these are going to be tighter than anything else I do in the ring. So,
and then that was one of the things Rex taught me from the beginning. Is I was working a match and it was somebody who was newer than me, and it was a chop or something or some sort of strike, and it was you just didn't put enough into it, and then I sold it, and I came back and he goes, "What the fuck did you do that for?" And I was like, "What? What was supposed to?" He goes, "Yeah, but that wouldn't have done anything to you in real life. So now you look stupid as a bigger guy selling some dainty little strike.
Yeah.
He looked stupid because he pulled off on it." And it was like, I was like, oh, shit.
You know what sucks with stuff like that too is because you want to make this person look great. You don't want to make them look stupid.
But
So,
he also said, you got to be selfish here, Tyler, because you got to look good too.
Yep.
So if you're looking like an idiot or an ass out there because he didn't know how to strike, you still look stupid.
and he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all because at the end of the day, this is we compete with UFC. Unfortunately. So UFC really pulled the realism out of wrestling. So now people strike back and forth like it looks legit and it looks like people are going to kill each other. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, it happens. You can even watch Liam and Rex the other night. Yeah, they were going back and forth, smacking each other in the face and everything. Like, so that was pretty legit. Mind you, that's because they got a little tense in there or they're angry at each other for a second. But it's like, the thing is, you're going to get a real hit.
Yep.
And you got to be ready for it. Because once again, maybe it's choreographed, maybe we're having a great time, and maybe it is predetermined. But at the end of the day, we are still athletes. We're still stuntmen, right? So I would say
we only get one take too.
That's
right.
right.
The biggest thing I always tell people too. Like when my clients back home will ask about it, and and it's like stuntmen get as many takes as they can to make that look absolutely perfect for that film. We get one shot.
One shot.
Whether we screw it up or don't, that's it, right? And there's also nerves on top of that, fatigue, stress, anxiety, adrenaline, sweat. There's so many factors.
So many things. Right? And the huge thing is people just rush, right? Because once your nerves and everything, like you said, start playing a role, you're not thinking anymore and now your brain's clouded. So now you're going to rush through all these other things when really you need to stay calm and collective and just keep control and slow your pace so that way you can think and you can make things look legit and you can still, because I find like when we're wrestling, my brain is probably on the most that it ever is throughout a day. It's wild.
And I know what you're saying.
Yeah. It may sound ridiculous because I know I probably sound stupid, but the big thing is like you're thinking about things all the time, but the moment you get in that wrestling ring, you got to think about everything. Yeah. So it's like, the way that I come through a curtain, was I captivating enough to hold people's attention?
And it's the small details like that too, right? Because as soon as you come through there, you're on.
Yep.
It's like action.
Boom, right away.
And I think when people kind of just think my performance starts in the ring per se, no, the people see you already. Like, what are you doing to make them look at you? Or
believe it or not, your performance starts the moment that music plays.
That yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's like if for me that music's playing, you now know this is how we're captivating a crowd, right? Because a lot of times, especially if they've seen you before too, the big thing is now we have to find a way to keep their attention, right? So like when we come back, it's like, were you good enough that these guys could remember you, right? So now music plays, you're in the back, you've now changed your gears and changed your attention to make sure that you are ready to turn it on. So that way, when you do peek out through that curtain, you are now already in thinking mode.
Because there is so much to it, whether it's your entrance, your gear, how you speak to the crowd when you're out
presentation.
Here, just the presentation in general. Because again, I think a lot of people this is why I wanted to make this series, is to try and peel it back what people don't see.
Yeah.
Right. And to what I can, respectfully to the business too.
Of course.
But it's not just what you see in the ring. There's just so much more that goes into these performances for us that I hope now when people start watching this series that they kind of start seeing that and kind of have more of not an understanding, but just like what's the right word? I can't think of it. Just an idea. An idea of what goes into putting this all together. It's not just get some boots, jump in a ring, and go.
And now we know how to do this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no.
Because I think we are spoiled as wrestling fans with just a plethora of WWE, AEW, all these millions of promotions. That I find that there are times where it's just like we take it for granted, and it's just it's just wrestling.
Yeah.
But as I've seen now, there's so much more to it, right?
Yeah.
Everything. So whether it
100%.
be your personal life, how you take care of yourself, how you take care of your partner in the ring, your entrance, your music, your gear, your just energy. Because if you just walk through the curtain like,
Yeah, it's like, do you think someone's gonna really bite on that?
No,
No.
and I personally wouldn't.
I mean, unless it's what you're
is
in.
your gimmick.
Yeah.
Right, I guess.
But once again, I don't find those gimmicks do very well.
To stick with me because it's like, what you make them feel something, but what do they remember from that? What did I do to make that one person? And I think I got it from Rex too, where he was like, just make one person each show feel like you brought them into the shows, whether it's like a point or something you say on the way around the ring or just some sort of interaction.
Even just looking at them, taking that time in this. Yeah, give it a look, will ya? One of these. Blow ya.
Oh yeah.
I know when it comes to even myself, when I come through the curtain, I like to take that time in the entranceway, even just to look at everyone, giving them that look.
And I have been doing that lately. Is just I'll stand there and I do like a big scan and I'll come back. Who's my and what I'm doing there for me personally, I don't know what it is, but I'm looking for my one person.
Yep.
Who's that person who's giving me that energy that I can give back?
100%.
Right? If you're just sitting there like, no, it's a wrestling show. Well, okay, it's my job to entertain you still, but if you're up as I'm coming out, that's it. Boom.
Yep, that's the one. And the cool thing is that a lot of people don't know in wrestling is it all triggers from that one person. Because a lot of times, the people that are actually, and I'm going to give you guys a little insight here, but a lot of times that person that's sitting on their hands, it's not the fact that they want to sit on their hands. They're too shy to do anything else, right? So you will have someone that will really bring themselves out. And if you trigger something with that person, you've now opened the door to the person that's sitting on their hands that will now maybe bring out a little bit more of a side that they're not used to.
This is very true.
Right? So there's introverts out there, right? So we have a lot of extroverts that are in the crowd that are cheering, and we do trigger to them. But the idea is we want to domino to the introverts too that are too shy to let that energy out.
I like that.
Right? So now you trigger to that one person. Watch that one person and all around them if there's nobody making noise. When you trigger that one person, look at the other ones and watch if they do something else. And if they do, now you react to them. And now when they start doing it, now it creates a domino effect to everybody else in that area. And now that you've triggered this side, I go over here and look at this one, and maybe it's the same thing. So now these guys are all behind me. I go over here to this guy. This guy's now doing it, and now he triggers around to everybody.
You know it worked. Too.
Exactly. And now you've now interacted with every single person in that crowd, and you didn't even realize you did it.
Didn't even do nothing.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Well, this has been a hoot.
It has been a hoot. I've liked it.
What's one thing that you would like to leave the people with? A bit of information, something about yourself?
I don't really...
Advice? I don't know.
Words of advice, I would just be like, if you're going to get into this business, I recommend doing these tours. I do find that, like, a lot of times, if you can wrestle on the shows all around town all you want, but these are the make or breaks.
Yep.
So if you can handle a winter tour or you can handle going on the road and doing this like as a living, then you know this is what you're going to do and this is what you're going to want to be.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This has been my main man, Jesse Bieber.
Hello.
I'm AC Fitz, and it's been a hoot.
It's been a hoot. I've loved it. Thank you so much for having me, by the way.
Thank you for just being a good sport.
Oh, anytime.
You're always a good sport.
Yeah, and yourself too.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're out of here.
See yous.
I think you guys would want to.
Going to bed.
Is there a boot camp tomorrow?
Yeah, 3:45 I think.
3:45.
3:45 and 2